Yeah, so
Comedians Uncorked cast
podcast.
broadcast. Right.
Now, broadcasting live from the Podcast Palace on Park Street in beautiful and dangerous Clearwater, Florida, it's the Comedians Uncorked podcast. And now, here are your hosts, Tony God and Pat Largo.
Hey guys, and welcome to the Comedians Uncorked podcast, and also, of course, happy Thanksgiving. It's Tony God and myself, Pat Largo, and we have so much to be thankful for, including some new listeners on Breaker. We want to thank, of course, people on Spotify and Google Podcast, all the platforms, and thank you, new folks on Breaker. We're on this platform now, and also, Tony informed me, we're also syndicated on the Conversation Comedy channel on YouTube.
Yes.
I've been on YouTube for a decade. I've never heard of this channel, but apparently we're syndicated. We ain't making any money at all.
We're saving the channel.
But we're saving the channel. So you can subscribe today at Comedians Uncorked. If you're on YouTube, by the way, we post a few times a week, about 2 to 4 times a week, some new stuff and different elements there. So you can always click on subscribe on YouTube. Social media, of course, Facebook, Instagram, at Comedians Uncorked. And, of course, everything goes through the website, comediansuncorked.com. Links are always going to be in the description. So, again, happy Thanksgiving, man. I can't believe this is
Thanksgiving.
episode 6 so far, so I'm thankful for this.
Yes. This is really great, actually, and by the way, just a quick shout-out to all the comics on the road right now.
Yeah.
Out there during the holidays. I've done it myself. I've been in the middle of nowhere. Actually, I've been in the Midwest, up in the Midwest during Thanksgiving. I remember Thanksgiving Day. It was snowing. It was snow on the ground. There was no show because it was Thanksgiving that night. So it was like a night off, that kind of thing. All I did that day was my laundry and just watched movies on hotel cable.
Yeah, that's
what you do. That's what you do.
It's one of the loneliest things in art forms, isn't it? Because you're solo when you're a comedian. You're just solo.
You're a one-person show most of the time.
So, and speaking of one person, which I really enjoy, and thank God she's letting us be a part of this studio here, is Julie Drolshagen from Century 21 here in Clearwater, Florida. If you want to give her a shout. We were just talking about the traffic before coming in here, so a lot of people are moving here. So if you need some real estate help, Julie Drolshagen, Century 21, 727-902-9233, FloridaBeachBusiness.com. And before we get into some other salutations and stuff, we got a lot going on this week with the. This is a good one you're talking about. Did Dave Chappelle get canceled? This guy's getting canceled every other week, but then also not getting canceled every other week.
Yeah,
so,
we're going to talk about that with the news update.
We got that. Chris Tucker. I saw something about this, about Chris Tucker talking about and commenting on the Friday franchise.
Yes.
And why he was just in the first one, and it did involve something you smoke. So he was talking, which I thought that was interesting. So we'll go over that later.
Yeah.
Tom Segura is coming everywhere. I'm a Tom Segura fan. I've always loved him.
And do you like him coming?
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
I mean, so long it's him. If whatever he wants to do, whatever you do, just do it everywhere.
Just do it wherever.
Just
everywhere.
Well, he's Tom Segura, for God's sake. And we also answer the question of the week. And I thought about this long and hard when you asked this. It was, what 4 comics would you like to see in a show together? And I asked you last week, dead or alive. You're like, whatever. So
dead or alive.
Yeah, I thought of
Either
4.
or.
That it may surprise you a little bit because it's not some ones you hear every day, I don't think.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about that. So.
All right, I got mine.
You got yours going?
Oh, yeah.
Good, man. And again, Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to you, by the way, man. I knew you got some stuff going on.
Yeah,
and just,
I appreciate that.
It's just been, I thought 2020 was a weird year, which it was, and I was still kind of thankful for stuff. And then I had some stuff in my family going on a few months ago that wasn't good. So it's just been a weird, maybe not as weird as rioting and pandemic as last year, but still some crappy stuff going on. So we hope you guys out there listening and watching, man, are having a good holiday and hopefully a good holiday season, man.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be almost as close to norm as we're going to get for the year. Because everybody's doing the same crazy stuff they always do. So,
and I don't mind because we broadcast out of Florida. This goes around the world, but we're in Pinellas County, Florida, here in beautiful Clearwater.
Yes,
so
we are.
It's about 79, 80 degrees today, something like that.
It's too hot. It started out nice. Yeah. It started out nice, and it got too hot.
too hot. I get pissed off. I'm just old and crotchety now. You give me July, August, and September in Florida. I want to be a snowbird. I want to live in what's it called? Well, nothing's cold. Or maybe Wyoming.
I don't know.
The
anymore.
Dakotas.
Everything's melting.
It is. It's all coming to an end. Boy, I tell you
what else is on the show?
If you haven't thought about suicide before this rant for Thanksgiving, you were going to consider it right now.
You're bringing people down.
Jesus, I'm so
They're
sorry.
getting ready to eat turkey or ham and watch football or whatever.
I know. I'm bitching about the weather. 80 degrees in Florida. I'm
I
sorry.
hate the weather. It's so hot. How hot is it? 78 degrees.
It's so hot.
It's
Tom
so
Segura is coming
terrible.
everywhere.
It's coming.
All right. What do we got going on here? You want to do the first story about the news?
Well, did you tell them who's coming to Tuesday to be on the show?
Oh, God. I almost forgot about that,
This
for
is
God's sake.
special.
This is cool.
Perfect guest for the Thanksgiving show.
Yes. So this is episode 6 of the Comedians Uncorked podcast. And, again, we're based out of Clearwater, Florida. So it's not like we're going to be having Tampa Bay folks on every single time. But right now, we can't help it because these people are hot and they're doing it and they're making it happen. We have a special guest. Her name is Aniria Turney. And she lives right here in the Tampa Bay area. From not just being a comedian and an actor, but a wife, a mom. She kicks ass at all four. But I mean, it just goes to show you, coming from this area, some people will be like, oh, you guys, if you want to do something, you should move to New York or Chicago or L.A. to act and do things. No, she's kicking ass right here.
Yeah.
Netflix, Hulu projects, NBC, Chicago Med type projects. It's just amazing what she's doing. So we're going to be having Aniria in a little bit later on. We're going to be talking with her about that.
Yes.
So, what else we got here? We got, you want to kick off with the Dave Chappelle getting canceled thing?
Okay, so let's kick off with that story. The Dave Chappelle, they canceled, or did they? It's another one of those. Because now this is from Yahoo News, and I got another story from Yahoo News. Apparently, they're very comedy friendly because they're bringing in the info. So this story is the headline: "They're canceling stuff I didn't even want to do." Dave Chappelle reacts to being uninvited.
Look at this.
He was uninvited from his high school fundraiser, his old high school's fundraiser. So I'm going to read the first paragraph here. Dave Chappelle continues to draw backlash for the comments made about members of the LGBTQ plus community during his recent and much talked about Netflix special, The Closer.
Right.
Though he hasn't suffered any significant financial loss because of his statements, he was, however, uninvited from a special event set to take place at his alma mater.
Mm-hmm.
So his old alma mater has reacted by uninviting him to the basically to this thing. They were going to name,
event, right.
Yeah, I think they were going to name a library or something after him. Let me see. They canceled stuff. His reaction is basically they canceled stuff he didn't want to go to. He went to a show and said that.
What?
But it was a charity event for a new theater that was set to be named after the actor after students reportedly expressed feeling uncomfortable that they were being made to show Chappelle's support amid his controversy.
Sure.
Claims of a potential walkout by students were also reported, seemingly prompting the school to cancel the event altogether. Chappelle's people responded to that, and basically what happened is nothing significant, because in the end they just rescheduled. They rescheduled for April 2020 or 2022.
Yeah.
So this is basically the school reacted. They basically put it on hold because the kids felt uncomfortable, and the truth is that these are high school kids.
Mm-hmm.
They're just developing their opinions,
Right.
and so they really don't have a clear understanding of what's going on. They're just reacting because the people around them, the adults around them, are reacting this way. And so it's the same thing. It's like the people that didn't want to see it. He gave the same answer that I gave the last week about, if you're canceling me, you're not my audience anyways. You're not the person I'm trying to reach. You're not my fan.
Well, true, right.
So, I mean, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really affect him.
It doesn't. Well, I guess it depends if you're so big that they can't cancel you, which I believe Chappelle is. And the thing is, I saw that story recently. You're right. And I guess it's the same one where they said, well, yeah, the kids are uncomfortable, and we're going to just put it on hold. So that the high school didn't have the balls to say to Dave Chappelle, hey, we're not going to do this.
No, because they're getting money for that.
And it's Dave Chappelle, of course. So... that's fine. They'll have their little thing. They're going to little say-so, the kids, and now they're doing it. They're putting it off until April. So I guess they graduate up there. I assume in probably May or June next year.
Yeah, so it's the end of the year type of thing.
Everyone will be happy to be graduating.
Exactly.
Maybe the kids will catch up on some old school Chappelle stuff.
They'll mature in the next couple months.
Dude, I look at it this way. People have forgiven Michael Jackson because he may have allegedly done some stuff with a lot of kids.
Serious.
And people are like, but dude, it's Thriller, man. In fact, even Chappelle, I think, did that joke about that on the Chappelle show. It's like, it's Thriller, man. He wrote Thriller. Yeah. We don't care what he did.
You gotta keep your canceling policy in check.
Well, keep it in check. I don't mind high school kids trying to cancel because you're only in high school. You have no life experience yet. It's these other professional cancelers and stuff that are just that's what they do 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
And they're getting some shit done, which makes me go, wow, who is listening to these people? That's what scares me.
Well, that's the thing. There's too much influence, and there's too much influence by bad information, because it's like these kids are being dictated to by the grown-ups. Mm-hmm. This has nothing to do with the kids because they don't know. They don't understand. That's why you don't do comedy for kids, because they don't get it yet.
Right.
They're just now developing their sense of self. Mm-hmm. They're developing their sense of opinions, what they like, what they dislike, getting in touch with who they are emotionally and psychologically. So they don't know. Some people don't, like, you've got people probably feeling uncomfortable because they haven't even revealed that they're gay. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Your high school kids probably feeling awkward because it's like, well, it's like, I don't even want to reveal myself. Now I feel embarrassed, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's how they relate to the whole subject. So it's like you don't know what's going on in all those kids' minds, but they're uncomfortable. That's really the best word for them to use. Like, we're uncomfortable. We don't know how to feel. So,
yeah.
I take it like that's how I see it anyways. I mean, it's like I don't think it's good or bad. I think it's just like, you know what, we need some time to digest this and understand it better. Maybe by the end of the year, the school feels more comfortable. They're not going to cancel it completely because the school is getting money for that kind of stuff. You know what? Because all these companies and so forth, they're not putting that money in there.
I think one good high school orgy or just learning, and do what you're supposed to do in high school. You get high, a couple of hand jobs, and next thing you know, it loosens people up.
You got hand jobs?
I didn't get shit in high school.
Man.
I didn't.
So this is a legend. So this is something you heard about.
Right. I didn't give or get.
So you're making this stuff up now. This is the misinformation we're talking about.
Okay, you're right. And I'm a horrible broadcaster for doing that. I'm just saying, I think in high school some of these folks do that. So I think if they just did that a little bit, loosen up a little bit, and then go, you know what? Maybe
maybe they need more hand jobs in high school.
I do a Tom Segura and Coming Everywhere. Then I could deal with Chappelle. But you're not going to cancel. I mean, I appreciate the kids being concerned.
I appreciate that. Good for you, kids.
But I mean, I don't want to say we're not listening to you, but we're just not. We understand you want to get it out in this day and age.
I'm not listening to them.
I mean, we don't have to.
Okay, good.
That's the beauty of this.
To hell with those kids.
If we did this when we were young, dude.
Yeah. Well, we're moving on to the next story, which is the Chris Tucker story.
This is interesting.
And this is another one by Yahoo News. So good on them. This one is, I'll read the headline. I kind of made it personal, Chris Tucker says. Friday influence on weed culture triggered his exit from the franchise. So, as I had mentioned before, like one of the favorite franchises for me was Friday, and one of my favorite characters was Smokey. Because I think that really defined it. Well, here goes a freaking article confirming my suspicions. So I'll read this, the first paragraph here. Chris Tucker as Smokey is one of the most notable roles from the Friday franchise created by rapper and star of the movie Ice Cube. Mm-hmm. Tucker's character provided endless quotable lines. However, despite the film's popularity and subsequent sequels, Tucker went noticeably missing from the franchise after its initial installment, with Mike Epps' character filling as the comedic relief. So, over the years, there's been a lot of speculation as to why he left, why he departed the project, and there have been several reasons given. Some of them by Chris Tucker himself, as it mentions in this article. Now, Chris Tucker also went on. He's 50 now.
That's unbelievable.
And he went on to be very successful with the Rush Hour franchise as well.
Yeah.
Huge. He was in The Fifth Element. He's been in a few movies. So one of the reasons before this came out that he said was about the money, which they also mention again. Someone brings it up in the comments to the, I guess they posted it to Twitter or whatever. So that's one of the things they said. Well, it's like he's flip-flopping on, reasons why he didn't return. But, realistically, there's not ever just one reason. There are always several reasons. But one of the reasons would be apparently because of the weed aspect. He didn't want to be that guy, So that was one of the reasons he gave. And, of course, the money. He didn't make a lot of money. Here's what someone wrote. Tucker said things ultimately worked out well. Leaving that franchise later allowed him to venture off to other kinds of roles. However, fans didn't appear to be buying the story the actor was giving. And this one said, Chris Tucker's story has changed 30 times. But anyways, that's just an interesting story coming on the heels of what we were talking about, the franchises.
Yeah.
And he only made like 10 grand on Friday.
Was it really that little?
That's a small movie. This was an independent movie.
Yeah, that's true.
Shot in 20 days. He only made 10 grand on it. So as the person that really solidified its place in pop culture, for him not to get more money to come back would be ridiculous. He's valuable to the franchise. But then again, also, if he didn't feel comfortable with that image, because you get stuck in that image in Hollywood. Once you're that person, you can get pigeonholed, and it's not bad if that's what you want to do.
Right.
But if you want to do other characters, you kind of gotta take a hit and walk away, and which he did successfully.
And he declined to take a hit. He said, "No more weed."
Oh, nice!
But
you should do comedy.
But the weed thing, and I laud that. I mean, that's pretty cool. No, I'm trying to think how he walked away so young, because I forgot how old he was.
Yeah, he wasn't that
very
old.
Young.
I think he was still in his 20s.
Oh God, yeah.
Because that's
if he's only 50 now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he had to be very in his 20s. So, but to walk away from that, because that was probably his big.
That was his big break
to date, right? Yeah, the big one. I mean, to start him off, but to say no to anything else. Because of just the weed factor, I don't know. Like you said, yeah, you want to be pigeonholed in Hollywood, but you think maybe I don't know if he had a premonition and saw other things coming down the line, but he wasn't, like you said, if he said no to Friday, the second Friday or whatever, he must have known something.
Well, here's what he said. He said, back then, I got to tell you, one of the reasons why I didn't do the second one is because of the weed.
Right.
Because I said, man,
that's right.
That movie became a phenomenon. I don't want everybody smoking weed. I never really told people this because I kind of forgot about it, but it was one of those reasons why I didn't do it. Because I said, I don't want to represent everyone smoking weed. I kind of made it more personal than a movie, and that's one of the reasons I said, nah, I don't want to keep doing that character.
Wow.
So, that's... Okay. And that's an artist's choice.
Yeah.
That's basically what that is, So
it worked out for him, obviously.
Yeah.
But imagine if he didn't score the Rush Hour stuff and things like that. Because I got to tell you, and I don't know how you feel about his comedy. I've seen one or two of his stand-up specials or some of his comedy, and I'm not anti-Chris Tucker. I mean, I do like. I think I like his acting more than I like his comedy.
I like him as a comedic actor more than I'm drawn to his stand-up.
Right.
But I mean, it took. But that's the thing. He wouldn't have become that comedic actor that he is without the stand-up first, because because you have to take chances in the stand-up.
That's just it.
So seeing him go crazy and broad in his acting, that came from being on stage doing that.
Yes. Well, even Seinfeld, him and Harvey were saying that on Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, saying that you notice how comedians can go on to be great actors. But really, there's no actors that come down to be great comedians, And I mean, you think about some of the really superstar actors and actresses that were stand-ups or at least improv.
That's exactly true.
And it's crazy how good.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. But I'm a big fan. But that look and that voice, whether it's from Friday or from Rush Hour, do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? When he says that, man, that is just.
It's gold.
It's
man.
gold.
Yeah.
It's just awesome stuff.
That's
man.
timing. That's character.
Yes.
So.
I mean, that's awesome.
Speaking of comics doing crazy, wild things, we have a feel-good story.
What do we got?
It's a feel-good story. Tom Segura. Comedian Tom Segura inks with WME. So this is a feel-good story just because a comic is doing well.
Okay.
He's doing pretty good, man.
He's kicking. He's killing it right now.
So this was on Deadline. Comedian, actor, and podcaster Tom Segura has signed with WME for representation in all areas. This goes on to say Segura is best known for his Netflix special Ball Hog from 2020, Disgraceful 2018, Mostly Stories in 2016, and Completely Normal in 2014.
Wow.
Yeah, he's done a lot of shit.
He was popping them out every 2 years.
Yeah. Now, this is another thing that he was supposed to release, but because of COVID, it got set back. He was planning on unveiling a Spanish language special on Netflix last fall, but it got delayed because of the pandemic. So, yeah, that's pretty cool, actually. And, he's done quite a bit, man. I didn't actually realize how much stuff he's done just because you see him doing one thing more than the other. Like, I see him on his podcast, and they've got a lot of stuff going on with that. But he's done quite a few movies. I'm surprised. And actually, he just did Steve Burns' movie, The Opening Act, which I haven't seen yet, and I want to because it's supposed to be really funny.
Okay.
And it's about starting out in comedy, like the guy getting a break in comedy. So it's got a lot of familiar faces, and I still have to see it. And I'd like to get Steve on just to talk about it, because he's got everything he's been doing. I don't know if you know this. He actually did a documentary about the Amazing Jonathan.
Oh, Steve Byrne did?
Yes.
Oh, the Amazing Jonathan, the magician, comedian guy.
Yes.
Love him too.
Look it up, man. Look up that special. Look up that documentary. It's really good.
Okay.
It's really good. Yeah, he's become quite a filmmaker himself. He's actually I think he just finished working on. He's worked on a new hour for another special.
Yes, I think, because I share him on the Comedians Uncorked page on Facebook and stuff, and sometimes we'll go back and forth and say hi once in a while. And I know he's from Pittsburgh. I think I saw him playing hockey one day.
Yeah, he plays hockey.
And I said, "Is that you?" And he goes, "That's me, man. Since I was a kid." I'm like, "Wow," but I didn't realize. Now, real quick on Segura note though, is he still doing Two Bears, One Cave with Kreitcher?
Yes, that's on his podcast network, which is Your Mom's House Studios.
Right. Okay.
And he does a podcast, Your Mom's House, with his wife.
Yep.
So, which is they do some pretty good stuff on there.
Yeah.
Very good observational stuff on what's in the news and pop culture, and he really hates Garth Brooks.
I didn't know that.
Tom Segura does not like Garth Brooks.
Okay.
He's got friends in low places.
Yeah, and I forgot that he speaks the fluent Spanish. So I would love to.
Well,
hear
his last name is Segura.
Segura, yeah.
Segura.
You ever hear him tell that bit on one of his stand-up specials?
No.
And he's in a hotel, and he goes, the guy behind the desk, the front desk attendant says, "Oh, Mr. Segura, you are Asian?" He goes, "No." He goes, "Oh, you think of your name, Segura." So Tom Segura goes, "Yeah, but you can do that with any name. You can go, Mr. Smith." Segura, he cracks me up, man. He cracks me up.
That's perfect. But yeah, good for him. I would say watch out for more stuff from Tom Segura. It looks like he's got some kind. He's found his lane, and he is going at high speed right now. So good for him. Congratulations. And that wraps the news.
I like that. I'm going to look up some Tom Segura dates, too, and put them in a little Where They At later, just because we're talking about Segura. I know he's on tour. He's got to be on tour.
Well, as a matter of fact, that's the headline that we gave, Coming Everywhere. That's the name of his tour, which is going to be running through 2022,
Good.
As a matter of fact. So look him up, see if he's coming to your town. The name of the tour is Tom Segura, Coming Everywhere. And, check him out. Very funny man.
He really is, man.
Yeah,
he really is.
Very
All right.
ready, yeah. And I think it's...
Is it time to get to the question?
No, I think it's time to get to...
Oh, we're going to get to the Aniria Turney
Yes.
interview. We hope you enjoyed this interview, this Comedians Uncorked interview with Tampa Bay comedian and actor Aniria Turney.
The fellows had to take a short break. Apparently there's a bit of an indigestion problem, and they're down the hall. You're now stuck with me for a couple of moments, so let me just say, I don't use shoehorns any longer. They're bad for my feet. They make my bunions hurt. And lunch meat. Oh, lunch meat is bad for you. Huh? Oh, they're back. Here again, Tony Gott and Pat Largo with Comedians Uncorked. And stay away from that lunch meat.
Yep.
Hey, welcome. This week's guest on the Comedians Uncorked podcast is a mom, a wife, an actor, a comedian, and she's kick-ass at all four. She lives right here in the Tampa Bay area. We love having one of our own on. This is so cool. You've seen her probably on some of her work on Netflix and the Marlon Wayans movie Naked. Also some stuff on Hulu, The Act with Patricia Arquette, and a show on NBC called Chicago Med. Please welcome our first guest ever actually in the Comedians Uncorked podcast studios, Aniria Turney.
Yay!
That's right.
Welcome. This is great, and
Welcome.
happy Thanksgiving to you.
Oh,
Happy
thank you. Happy
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving to you guys.
Yeah, this is the Thanksgiving show.
Yeah,
Yeah, and thank you for having me on here.
this is awesome. And
You had
just
to lean in a little bit.
Oh,
yeah,
sorry.
and real quick,
Thank
let me kick it off with that. With it being Thanksgiving, what's some of the traditions of the Turney household?
Well, that's a good question. Usually we do the Caucasians with the Puerto Ricans tradition.
Okay.
Yeah, you know.
I think I'm with you there.
Yeah. So like this, actually, we're going to throw an Asian in here because my father-in-law, his girlfriend is, I think it's from the Philippines.
Oh, man. Hey, listen, I hope you got that right because I didn't mention this before, but our demographics are
changing.
showing that we have 4% listenership in the
Oh.
Philippines.
Seriously?
Yeah.
I love it.
And where?
The Philippines.
The Philippines.
Oh.
Hello, Philippines.
Well, I hope, hey,
Which is good. 'Cause
I hope
had a-
that's true then.
I had a
Yeah.
question about my Discover card, so I'll talk to them after.
Yeah.
I can't remember if it's the Philippines, Korea. It's not Korea.
It's
No.
over. It's
I feel so ignorant right now, people.
No, I hope she brings it. I hope she brings a dish to the party. I bet it's going to be
Yeah,
fantastic.
actually, we're meeting at her
Yeah,
house
a
this
little
year
bit.
for the first time,
Okay.
and she's got some friends coming over, and then I personally cannot have a Thanksgiving without my mother's turkey. So I always, wherever I'm going to be at Thanksgiving, I invite my mother, and I make her bring her own turkey.
nice.
Yes, because
Smart.
it's just, so we're gonna have like too much food, but I just I told my mom, poor her, I said, you know, you're gonna be making this turkey until you die, because I am not. Oh, I'm sorry, is that me? I thought I had turned this off.
She's very busy.
What?
She's
Yeah,
very
probably
busy.
her agent right there.
Yeah.
Saying,
Oh my God.
What makes your mom's turkey so? Is it just a special thing the way she does it particularly?
Yes, it's juicy and garlicky,
Oh.
and it's got a lot of good spices, and she just gets in there. And I know turkeys are heavy, so I know with time, I'm going to have to just start coming over and helping her.
Bring it in portions.
Yeah.
Bring it in pieces.
Yeah, bring it in pieces. So we're going to meet over there, and it'll be my mom, the Turneys, you know, my father-in-law, my stepson, my kids, and then the Asian side.
The Asians.
So it'll be,
And
it'll
the
be good.
Asians.
And she will bring food because she always has food and it's good. I've eaten.
That's what we like to hear.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, and you have a question for Aniria about just
Well, I think we got the Thanksgiving stuff covered.
Yes.
Although, yeah, we know what she wants.
My mom's turkey.
Lots of turkey.
Yeah.
Now let's go. Well, actually, you know, I mentioned this at the top of the show. about comics. I send a shout out to the comics that are working on the holidays. Like I've had to work on Thanksgiving on the road, that kind of thing. Have you had to do any of that, like the holidays?
Never
holiday gigs
Thanksgiving,
like that?
but I've had to do New Year's.
New Year's.
New Year's gigs.
Yeah, I've done that too.
Yeah, and I kind of like it. The New Year's is a little different because family-wise, my family kind of does their own thing. So it's not that, we got to get together. So my husband and I, Joe, we kind of make like, this is going to be our New Year's celebration. So if I'm out of town for a show, then he'll come with me. But it's been a while. It's been a while, obviously, since I've done a New Year's. Yeah.
Usually the holiday shows, they usually pay better because it's the holiday type of thing. The New Year's ones is pretty good. I try to avoid working the holidays anymore. Like I used to try to pursue that. No, this is it's great to work the holidays, blah blah blah. But as I got older, I was like, you know what? It's like I just want to celebrate the holidays.
Yeah.
Like if somebody comes and asks me, like if there's an opportunity, I might take it. If it pays well and it's a good room. But otherwise, I don't really seek it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm fine if I'd rather be home with family or if that's the kind of thing you do. But I was like, just because I've done it already, and I'm like, you know what? It gets kind of lonely out here. I'm like the only. It's like I don't get any turkey today. It's like
oh man,
in a hotel room. It's like
it's funny because as I go through my career, there's so many things. The more you do it, that you're just like, okay, I'm not willing to do that anymore.
Well, you know what you want.
Yeah,
you kind of
know what
you
want, and you seek it. And if the people that you thought could give it to you aren't, then you just create it.
Yeah.
You just do your own thing.
Yeah.
That's the beautiful thing about nowadays. You could like what we're doing.
Yes.
Years ago,
Perfect
if
example.
anyone said, we want to do a show, okay, how do we do it? Well, we have to contact a TV station or get an agent, or we got to get a big warehouse and get people and lighting and spend thousands of dollars on microphones and cameras.
Yeah.
Now you spend a few $100, you get a studio, and you're broadcasting around the world. So
Isn't that awesome?
It's a really, really neat thing. So now, people, we were talking about, you're doing comedy and stuff. Now, what have you done longer? Acting or comedy?
Oh, comedy.
Okay.
I was definitely a comedian first. I've been doing comedy, I think, 17, maybe going on 18 years now. And acting came maybe 7 years ago now. And I started acting to kind of enhance my comedy career. Dean Napolitano, another comedian here from Florida, he said, people always want to come see somebody who's been on TV. And I'm like, I always think, me on TV, please. And so he was very encouraging and supportive, and he kind of walked me through the process how to get into it. And I hated it at first. I hated it because, as a comedian, when you learn comedy, it takes so long to get where you're at, to get good and confident. That here I was, oh my God, now I got to start something new. I don't like it. I'm not used to it. But then there came a point where it's like, God, I love this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I really enjoy it.
Yeah. A lot of it, you don't realize, I think like when you say you have to start over, that kind of thing, a lot of people don't realize you've already put time in.
Yeah.
With the other things you've done, you've put time in. Like when I actually did it kind of the opposite of you, because I was doing acting like a couple years before I started doing comedy. And I actually started going to do open mics just to work on like character stuff.
Wow.
But so it was accidental that I found it. Was okay, this is actually what I need to be doing. This is more comfortable to me. This is, this expresses me better. So that's how I got into that. But it's like they both work together. It's like, and then and I think that's the thing. Like you hit that comfort level.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
you do, because I was a horrible actress when I started. I don't know if other people start out good. I have seen people start out good. Let me say that, because I do have friends that from the get-go were really good, and they're doing big things. I have a friend.
That's awesome.
She's just shot a film with Danny Trejo.
Nice.
And she's been doing it like way less than
Machete.
me. Yeah. So Shout out to Samantha Gonzalez.
Yeah.
Samantha Gonzalez, all right.
But
One to look for.
Yes, for sure. And when I started acting, I was terrible. And my first agent ever, she saw me in class, in Kathy Laughlin's class, and she didn't have a Hispanic middle age, probably bilingual and comedic timing, that kind of thing. So she had me audition for her, in her office. She was interested, so I drove to Orlando, and I will never forget that meeting. She's like, "Here, honey, you're gonna take these two. You're gonna sit outside my office. These two scripts, and you're gonna read them through. You got 10 minutes." Yeah, no, that was Tracy.
Oh, okay.
Tracy with Brevard.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're going to sit out there in my office, and you got 10 minutes to look him over, and you're going to come in and you're going to do a cold read. I'm like, I didn't even know what a cold read was.
Oh, really? You hadn't done a cold read before?
I had never done a cold read.
Oh, my God.
So the whole time I'm like, oh, this is funny. I was horrible. And when I was done, she looked at me and she's like, "You know what, honey? You're a little green. So you're not going to do TV or film right now. You're going to do industrials and commercials."
Yeah.
But she took a chance on me.
Yeah. And that's a big agency. That's a very prominent agency.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. She's a fantastic agent. And then within, I think 3 months after that, or maybe more, 3 or 4 months after that, I got a script for like a film. And I'm like, what? Mm-hmm. She changed her mind, and then it was with Marlon Wayans, and I'm like, what? I'm like, oh, this is a long shot, And wow. And I'm like, but what saved me for that particular film is they really wanted somebody to just kind of improvise. Mm-hmm. They're like, these are your lines, but be loose with them. And it was just a chance to be me,
Yeah.
And I don't know that I know that I couldn't have done that with like another script. I was too new to be dramatic. And I think as comedians, part of our thing is that we laugh at our pain. So we suppressed all those emotions.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so funny. And that's what was hard for me to transition to.
Is to get them out.
Yeah. And so, to be able to cry or dig into something that'll cause the reaction that the script calls for was really, really hard.
Well, you know what? Shout out to Tracy, your agent, for knowing that you were right for the part.
Yes.
That's their jobs.
That's their talent.
That's exactly why that's exactly how you want to get an agent that you feel comfortable with, because they know, even when you don't know.
Yeah,
she's
that's
like,
true.
You know what? She might be a little new, but she's right for this.
Yeah, and and I think because she auditions people, she saw me work a scene, but when you go to a class and you've been working on a scene for weeks, is different than a cold read.
Yeah, cold reads are difficult.
So I think because she saw that I was doing the scene and I could deliver, I think she took that chance. My cold read was terrible. But then she came back, I don't know how much, maybe a year later, to the class to teach auditioning class. And she pulled me to the side. She's like, "Oh my God." She's like, "You've gotten so much better." And so then I started obviously getting more auditions. She took more of a chance.
Cool.
And it's been great.
And what's Tracy's last name again?
Danielle.
And what's the name of the agency again?
Brevard Talent.
Brevard Talent. Yeah, they're out of Orlando.
Yes,
correct. Yeah, even though they're called Brevard Talent Group. I
That's
think
good.
they might have been in Brevard before.
Well, she deserves a shout out because she
Yes.
spawned Aniria. Just almost like a fan question. What do you like more currently, comedy or acting?
Oh, that's tough. That's really tough because nowadays I feel like I audition so much that I've gotten so deep into the acting. Because, with acting, it's not easy to book like it is with comedy.
Yeah, it's a different thing.
It's a whole different thing and a ton of rejection. But I get so focused on acting. I love it. but then a show will come, like a comedy show, and it's like, oh, I miss this, you know. So it's a toss up. It's really
Well,
hard.
let me ask you a follow up to that. Do you feel like maybe you're finding a balance with the two?
That's still a challenge. I find it's still a challenge because a couple of reasons. With acting, you do tons of auditions and you don't know that you book until sometimes 2 days before or a day before.
Yeah, or like a month or two later.
Oh,
After the
yeah.
audition,
Yeah.
When you completely forgot about it.
Yeah, what did I book?
Because you have hope, like, you know, you leave you have the audition, like now it's self-tape, so you leave your room.
Yeah. Like, oh,
feeling
this
like,
is good.
or you don't know. You know, which usually is the ones that you have more success with. You don't know how to feel. I don't know if I like that.
Yes.
And then you land it, but it's like you send that out, you move on because you got other auditions, you got other work to concern yourself with. But then, like, you forget about that audition. 5-6 weeks later, like, hey.
And you have to be reminded.
Yeah, and then you're like, do I need to get that script again? I don't know the lines anymore. So.
That's exactly how it is. So I think that's a challenge because when you book a comedy club, they've got you on their books for months sometimes.
Yeah.
And
you could even book a year ahead.
Yeah, and I say comedy clubs, but I don't mean just clubs. I mean, like, you know, like your Pat Largos or any venues. 2 days before the show, all of a sudden, oh, you have an opportunity to be in a Marvel movie.
Yeah. Are you available?
Yeah.
Let me grab my cape.
And, and the thing is, I mean, it's Marvel.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
But at the same time, we do stand up because we love stand up. And we're always grateful for people that give us opportunities. And the last thing we want to do is screw them over.
Yeah. But
it's Marvel.
That's the thing. It's like, if you do this gig, you know that Marvel credit is going to get you more comedy shows, get you more bookings, put you in front of more fans.
That's right. And
when you go back to the guy that you had to cancel on, you're going to be bringing him a better deal.
That's true. Like, I never thought of that.
You know, it's like, I know it. Well, I'll give you a good example of that. Dave Chappelle. This was years and years and years ago. This is like probably over a decade, well over a decade ago, when he had the Chappelle show, on Comedy Central. He was just getting into that. This is just before that even was about to happen. He was supposed to come to the Tampa Improv.
Oh.
So he had canceled probably like 3 times.
Oh, wow.
Rescheduled because things kept popping off, and he was like, he was on a trajectory.
Yeah.
And it was like he was skyrocketing. But what he did was he didn't like wipe that booking off his books. He called the club and he told him, he's like, I promised you I was going to come to your club and do those shows, and I'm coming. He's like, we're going to do this. I know things are crazy now, but we're going to do this. He came in. Obviously the place was packed.
Oh, wow.
They had to add shows. I mean, he was just, but he came to and that's like,
and he complied.
And that's a big room for comedians, but for a star, that's a small room.
Yes.
He should be doing the theater at that point.
Arenas.
1,000 seaters, 5,000 seaters, 10,000 seaters. This room seats like 400. Seats about 400 people. That's big, and that's a lot of people in one room. But he came back but he packed the place out. So it's like he didn't, as he was getting famous, as he was growing in fame. Like now, you couldn't even put him in there unless he wanted to come in and
just because he wanted. Yeah, just because he wanted to.
Yeah, but realistically, you couldn't book him. You couldn't afford to put him in that room without the ticket prices being outrageous.
Isn't that something?
So that's the kind of thing, though. It's like, you might have to cancel, but because of what you're doing, you're going to be bringing that booker, that room, a greater benefit later down the road.
Yeah.
Just the same way they did for you, giving you the first gig in the first place,
Oh, yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's just...
But then if she books that Marvel gig, then my Comedians Uncorked gig won't be able to afford her.
I know
I would always
this
do
is it.
Comedians Uncorked.
This is our last.
I may cancel on you 3 times.
I'm a one and done, Dave Chappelle. I'm a one and done. You cancel one time. No. So and that's a great. And that also goes to show you about how good Dave Chappelle is.
That's a lot of integrity.
That is.
And who, Aniria, are your acting or comedy like inspirations? Like growing up, or like when you before you even thought about doing it, did you have acting or comedy in mind when you were a much younger Aniria Turney?
Yes, sir. Yeah, actually, when I moved, I was born in El Salvador, and my mom's Puerto Rican, my father's Salvadorian, so I'm half and half. But they met in college in Puerto Rico, and then they came to the States when I was 6. Because they wanted to pursue masters and PhDs at UF, actually. And as a young couple with 2 kids, because I have a younger brother, going to college, and then English not being their first language, it was difficult for them. It was difficult. It was a challenge. I'm sure they were constantly stressed. I don't know how they did it. Yeah. But one of the things that they always did every week was there was a couple of shows that were staples in that household. Carol Burnett was one of them. Mm-hmm. The Andy Griffith Show. Those are the 2 that I remember most. But when I would see my parents laugh, because I know how hard everything else was, I don't know if that's where the whole fascination started. Oh my God, if people laugh, they feel better. And so I would say Carol Burnett, even though she's sketch comedy, and I love sketch comedy, she was one of the first people that really caught my attention.
That was a great show.
Yes, and and at that age, I didn't understand how difficult it was for women to do what she was doing. Yeah. I had no idea.
And she was running it.
I Love Lucy. Lucille Ball was another one that was, wow. But then as I got closer to the age where it might be a possibility that you're going to do stand-up, my love for stand-up started when I was 14. At 14, I wanted to do stand-up, but I didn't know how. And that's when stand-up went out of the clubs and onto TV. Yeah. And so I started watching that, and I was like, wow, I don't know what in me said it, but I said, I know I can do this. I know that's for me. Of course, my parents said, you're crazy. Mm-hmm. No. And as I got older, John Leguizamo, believe it or not, definitely caught my attention. I saw One Man Show, and I know that that's not stand-up, but listening to his stories, he was half Puerto Rican and half Colombian, and all these characters he created. I'm like, oh, so there's room for that? Mm-hmm. It's a tight little spot. But he really inspired me to actually do it. Because I thought, if he's telling those stories and I'm enjoying the heck out of those stories, I want to do the same, because I got stories.
And now he's wearing your shirt.
And now he's wearing my shirt.
Is that something?
Yeah, I would have never thought back then.
So I want to a last question on the film stuff before we talk about K-Funny. Tell me about the short films. You've been working on short films. There was one recently you worked on called Come.
Yes.
That's a Latin short film?
It was a Latin short film.
Now that one's won some awards, correct?
It's won a ton of awards. It did the what do you call it, film festival circuit, and it won a lot of nominations, some awards. Funny enough, just for the discouraged actor, it's a short film shot in Lakeland, and written by a girl in Lakeland. It was her story about when she moved from Puerto Rico to Lakeland. Okay, wow. And being being Puerto Rican and the whole, was I auditioned for that. I remember at my acting class, we were going to have a showcase, and one of my agents was going to be coming in, and it's always a good opportunity for them to see you again, to remind them, look how good I am, yeah. And don't forget to call me. And she was coming when I think when this was going to be shot. So I had auditioned. Let me go back to the audition. So I went to the audition, And it was funny because I was going to play a grandma, and I saw two other grandmas that looked more like grandmas. And I'm like, the fat chance. So then I go in, and they auditioned us, and everything was improvised. They're like, okay, you're going to just talk about coupons to your daughter at the dinner table. And so I just did me.
Yeah.
And then, okay, thank you, bye. I was like, I blew it. You know, I blew it. They didn't like it, and everybody else stayed but me. So I was like, and I'm like, they still got to do the other two grandmas. But I booked it. And then when I booked it, I didn't know whether to accept it because my agent was coming. And one of my friends said, at the end of the day, it's a short film, but it's work.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah,
exactly.
you know, you're right. She's like, your agent's going to understand. And she was right. My friend was right. Thank you, Davina. And so I did it not knowing that it was going to be, you know, that it was going to be such a hit. And it's on HBOMax now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Congrats.
Yeah,
That's
it's on
awesome.
HBOMax.
It's called Come, which in English, it basically looks like come, C-O-M-E.
My mom hates that.
But it's in Spanish, it's come. It means to eat. Yeah, so that's
my mom's like,
cool.
did they really have to name it that? You know, because that was on HBO Max and it just says come.
Yeah.
I'm like, I know, Mom.
Well, you know what? It's going to get a lot of views.
Yeah, that's true. Should have shown more cleavage.
Like, this is it. So that's cool.
That's good. And I'm just, it could be here or later, but where do you see yourself in your career, comedically, acting, or just in life, in like, say, in the next 5-10 years? What do you see yourself?
Yeah, what's the trajectory there?
Good question. I don't want to give up anything that I'm doing right now.
Don't.
Yeah. In 5 years, I hope that I would have found a balance. It's a good question. I think I'm going to be humble, and I'm going to say, even if it takes 5 more years, I want to get my first recurring role in a TV show. I've auditioned for a few, came close with one. I got a call back, but I didn't book it. Nice. So that would be my goal. I have to book I don't have to. I know.
I want to do the same.
Yeah, a recurring role in anything. Yes. I prefer a comedy or something I'm just good at.
Yeah.
You know, and I would like to continue the Get Funny. I mean, I know with the pandemic and everything, we're kind of getting off to a slow start, but I would like to see Get Funny in the next 5 years continue to be shown everywhere.
Yeah, I think that that's one of those things that continues to grow. You know, obviously it's been set back because of everything that's been going on, but yeah, I mean, I think that's actually a pretty good show.
Thank you.
Speak it into
I
existence.
Love it.
Yeah. Tell the people if they don't know what K Funny actually what you've been doing. 'Cause it's your creation, right? K Funny.
Yes, I'm so proud of it. K Funny. Here's part of the crew.
It's the white guy.
The white guy. My favorite white guy.
I'm half Italian. It's Largo.
Largo is his last name.
Largo, and the ladies love that name. Largo.
I know. I picked a hell of a time to get a girlfriend. Sorry, Lisa. Breaking up with her tomorrow.
Or change your name.
That's right.
Pat Pequeño.
Not for nothing, but some of my Puerto Rican friends were like, he's kind of cute. I'm like, yeah, he's taken.
See this? This is like high school. I'm always so close.
I'm like, wow. Always so close. But yeah, so Get Funny, I came up with that because like we were talking earlier, you know, you get tired of like begging, book me. And I thought, I also wanted to produce a show that had a more diverse lineup, where I would hear about different cultures. Doesn't mean you have to be Hispanic to be on Get Funny. It just means talk about culture and how, because we interlive with each other. You know, I don't know.
It's mostly Hispanic.
Yeah, it's a Hispanic-driven show, but I love having, for example, Pat on it because I'm married to a white guy, and I'm going to tell you right now that a lot of my Puerto Rican girlfriends are married to white men.
Yeah.
So you put a show with a little bit of diversity like that, then they both can enjoy, you know what I'm saying? Because as a Latin woman with a Caucasian husband, I'm sure there are times when he's like, oh, I don't want these Latin things. You know.
Yeah. Well, you got to think though. It's like so many couples are now
Interracial.
mixed. Yeah, it's like well, my parents, they were married for forever. You know, my dad Puerto Rican, my mom Caucasian.
Oh, I never knew
So
that.
so it's like, I mean, that's why I look Italian. So no, it's like nobody knows what I am.
What
Right.
is gonna
Yeah.
happen?
So it's
That's
like-
so fun. I had no
But
idea.
yeah, so it's like they've been, they dealt with all of those issues of, like discrimination and all that kind of stuff way back in the 60s.
Yeah,
'cause they were
that's
married
tough.
in the 60s. So it's like and they dealt with all that. They stayed together. It's like there's 5 of us kids.
Wow.
But that's the thing. There's
Five?
so many people like that they're going to appreciate the cross-culture humor.
Absolutely.
Because it's relatable. Now that's relatable. Not just airplane food or those silly those rundown
Yeah.
jokes that everybody's always doing. No, it's a different time now. Time has evolved and so has our experiences. So now it's like there's a whole line of humor that we get to address, because of our own experience.
Yeah, and as a female and a Latina in the comedy world, when I started, a lot of people didn't relate to what I was saying. Where I started, because we're in Florida. Let's face it.
Yeah.
And some of the open mics, people didn't get it, and some of the bookers, I wasn't their thing, and it was tough. But now I feel like, I've kind of grown into my stories, and I think, like you said, it's very relatable. You see more, the cross-cultural
Yeah.
thing. And I forgot where I was going with
Pat
this.
did the same thing. He goes out with blondes now.
Yeah, guys or girls. At this point, I can't be choosing. I love you, Lisa. That's why we white guys, we love the Puerto Ricans. They're great cooks and they got big booties.
So let's give that date. There's a show in January. Let's do that, and then let's get to our question.
Our question of the
All
week.
right.
Because
Okay,
we're
great.
dragging Aniria
Yeah,
into this one.
That's right. Here we
Oh,
go.
boy.
So the K Funny, the next show coming up, it's going to be in 2022 in
Yes.
January,
Yes.
and it is
It is on January 29th
nice.
at the Ritchie Theater in Newport Richie.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very excited.
That's
too.
going to be
It's our
so
second one.
yeah, definitely. Obviously, we're going to be posting links and stuff in the description,
Yeah.
but we'll definitely remind you about that because we're going to be on that as well. And Jeff Louise
Yes.
is filling the 4th spot.
Jeff Louise is going to be doing a spot on there, and I'm very excited.
And Jeff Louise he's Cuban, right?
Yes.
Yep.
He's
So we got a Cuban.
Yeah.
We got a Cuban, a
Cuban,
Puerto
a
Rican,
Puerto
Puerto Rican,
Rican.
Salvadorian,
And a cracker.
and this guy.
We got a white guy
A cracker.
in case we get pulled over.
That's right.
Yeah, you
Someone's
speak for
gotta-
us all.
Everybody, shh.
I'll handle it.
Pat, give him that white guy
They're gonna
voice.
think he's the coyote.
Yeah. He's running us.
Officer, no need for bloodshed. Just put the gun away. All right, let's do the question of the week. Which what did you have us for us last week?
Well,
Oh,
let's
hang on.
introduce Aniria to the question. So
Oh, yeah,
each
yeah.
week
Uh-oh.
we give a question of the week for the show, and if listeners want to leave comments to the answers, or even they could leave a voicemail,
Mm-hmm.
and for us as well, we could play it on the show. And matter of fact, for next week's question, we're going to give you next week's question, and if you want to call in, leave a voicemail
Oh.
for us, we'll play it on the show as well.
All
But-
right, I like that.
This week's question of the week was, which 4 comics would you like to see in a lineup together, living or dead?
Oh God.
So me and Pat have made a list. We'll go first.
Yes.
And leave you a couple
Gives me
minutes.
time to think.
Yeah. So did you want to go first, Pat?
Oh yeah.
All right. So Pat, this is yours. These are yours.
This is one of these hit me actually yesterday. I had 3, and then I said, "Oh, I got one." This is it's a crazy little lineup, but I kind of thought long and hard about this. I would like to, since it's either dead or alive, 4 comedians you want to see do a show together. Charlie Chaplin,
All right.
Wow.
Groucho Marx,
Oh man.
Paul Mooney, and then Mitch Hedberg.
Wow. On the same show?
Yes. And my reasoning is I would love to have them go in order, like Chaplin and then Groucho follow Chaplin. I want to see Paul Mooney riff if I had a choice. I want to have
Riff
him
on the whitest guys.
I want to hear him.
And then Paul Mooney.
What would he say? What would Paul Mooney say about Charlie Chaplin and Groucho Marx?
Oh, my
and then do
God.
his own stuff, which was, of course,
Yeah.
amazing. And then
Oh,
just
my
to have
God.
Hedberg come up and do his witty one-liners and just be Mitch Hedberg.
That's
But that would be
hilarious.
I just want to see what would Chaplin do outside of silent movies,
Yeah.
because he was obviously he was a comedian. He's
Yeah.
comedy.
Yeah.
But I saw in that one, was it Robert, who did the show, the Chaplin movie? Robert Downey,
Yeah, Downey Jr.
which
Oh,
was amazing.
yeah.
It was amazing. If you
Yeah.
haven't seen
He
it,
did
go
a great
check it
job.
out.
Yeah, fantastic.
Oh my God! Just the struggles he had and the stuff like that was amazing. But I would love to see that Chaplin, Groucho Marx, which it's just Groucho Marx. It always cracked me
Yeah.
up. And then Paul Mooney, and then the late great Mitch Hedberg. Well, I guess they're all late greats.
Okay, so
yeah.
this question was really tough because it's like I immediately could make a dozen lists.
Sure.
of
I
times.
know.
So it's like,
It's hard.
so instead of I did 2 lists. I couldn't just do one.
Okay.
Because that's not fair. So the one list is Richard Pryor, Dave Chappelle, Robert Schimmel,
Nice.
Ooh.
and Sam Kinison
Wow.
for that one. Okay. So for those a little less fearful, this one's for you. But just it's still a great list. You're still gonna get the best. Norm Macdonald, Brian Regan, Godfrey,
Yes.
Oh, I love Godfrey.
Don Rickles.
Whoa.
Get Out.
Yes.
That's it. That's
Yo.
a great fucking show. Right
That
there.
is, I just want to
Yeah.
give a shout out to Godfrey because
Godfrey's awesome.
is he like a prodigy or something? Because somebody told me that he never does the same show.
I've worked
like
with
back to
Godfrey a couple times. He's cool. I've worked with him. I remember the first time he came through. It's like I hadn't met him before, and I pick him up at the airport. Immediately, we have to go by the mall
To buy new sneakers?
just to. I guess that's his excuse. We bought something, but he just basically just wanted to go show out. He's,
Oh, that's
he's
cute.
He is one of the funniest people. I
He's
swear to God,
so-
he
he is
is
super
so
funny.
underrated. He
Yeah.
should be way more famous. I'm gonna tell you right now, he should be huge.
Dude,
Because
you watch a
he's
show of
fucking
his and you
hilarious.
don't, like the laughter doesn't
Yeah.
stop. It's
No.
constant.
And he does do his show never stays the same twice.
No.
Even if he uses similar materials, because he goes off of the audience a lot. He does a lot of crowd work type stuff. But the thing is, it's like he just mines the audience for a topic, but he's got so much knowledge. The guy
Yeah.
is so knowledgeable
Wow.
that it's like he's able to convey something funny, regardless of what it is, because he has an opinion.
Yeah.
He knows what he thinks about things, and he knows how to convert that into comedy right away. He's hilarious.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen Godfrey before, go see him live. You can catch it. He's got his own podcast, and Godfrey We Trust.
yeah.
You could check that out, and he does some stuff on there, and he does some impressions and stuff like that. But you need to see him live. There's
He's
he's one of the funniest
I've seen
guys.
him a few times.
Brian Regan and Godfrey are 2 of the funniest people I've ever seen live.
I just saw Regan in April when he came here to St. Pete. A friend of mine took me out there. It was my birthday month, April, so that was really cool to see him.
Nice.
At half-capacity theater. I forgot the opening act. He was funny, but Brian, it was great. I love it because he comes out and he goes, "Hey, haven't been doing this in a while now because of the pandemic." He goes, "Probably going to hear some stuff I already did. Going to do some new stuff." And he just goes, "We'll see how it goes." And a couple of jokes, they didn't hit. Like, it was just him, but people were laughing nicely because it's Brian Regan.
Yeah.
And he's like, "All right, we'll do that one. Let's go back to the stuff you know now." And he'll go back to a couple of old ones, and then he'll work on something else. Godfrey, my quick Godfrey story, I'm pretty sure it was him. I think it was him. This was like 2006 when I was at 98 Rock, and they flew me out to L.A. to do the Nacho Libre junket, the movie junket, with Jack Black.
Wow. I love that movie.
It was awesome.
Oh.
So we got to interview the cast the next day. So Jack Black, the lovely lady who played the nun in the movie.
Yeah, yeah.
And some friends of mine gave me a couple of questions in Spanish, like not really totally sexual, but
For
like just
her?
crazy, And she was so breathtaking.
She's beautiful.
Because I'm sitting as close as I am almost to just a
Oh,
table
my
between
God.
us, and she's just looking at me, and I'm just
With those big eyes.
those brown eyes and the hair. Oh my God. But I went out that night, and I said I got some sushi at a place called the Blowfish, which is no longer apparently open over there. It was a great sushi, and I had a cab, and I said, take me to the closest comedy club, and I believe it was the Comedy Store.
Yeah.
And it was Godfrey hosting.
Oh, wow.
And it was Jeff Ross and a few other big comics. I want to say Jeff Cesario or something Cesario back in the day. He had a couple of comedy half-hour specials.
Yeah.
But I went up to Jeff Ross afterwards, and I said, hey, Pat Largo, I'm just in for radio, just doing something. I said, well, unless I've seen your roast and everything on TV. And he's sitting by himself. I'm like, do I be one of those guys? Should I approach? And he goes, oh, man, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. But it was just so cool. So I'm like, Jeff Ross was cool. I think I said hi to Godfrey. But he was hosting the night.
Yeah.
That's how and everything was just going on. So the excitement there was crazy. You're right, though. Hilarious. Just hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
And here's a side note. Godfrey was actually the first person to ever do the open mic with me at the Tampa Improv.
No way.
Oh, wow.
When we were trying to get it started. The stage wasn't even that.
Where did he live
that
then?
No, he was down working.
Visiting.
He was
Okay.
he was working at the club.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I told him, I was like, yeah, we're doing it's like I'm trying to get the open mic
That's so
started
nice.
in the bar area here. They didn't even have a stage in there yet. So
Yeah.
we went out on the floor and just started doing the open mic. And like he came in
Unbelievable.
there because he's so supportive of comedians.
Oh, God, that's so refreshing.
It's like, man, so I was like, I got nothing but respect for Godfrey.
Yeah.
It's like, first of all,
He's
he's
so-
hilarious.
Yeah.
Second, he's a good person.
You can
So
catch
it's like,
him on
yeah.
Instagram Live all the time.
Oh yeah, he goes.
He's on live
He
all
fucks
the
with
time.
people so much. I love it.
Yeah, he's pretty awesome.
So what's your list?
My list.
Give it to us.
Okay. It's a little bizarre, but I would have Anthony Jeselnik.
Nice. Okay.
I love him. Love his just no fear.
Yeah.
Joan
time.
Rivers,
Oh yeah.
Stephen Wright. Oh man. Right.
I've got one of his
I almost
albums
switched
still.
it for Mitch Hedberg because they're I love that style.
I still got him on vinyl.
Do you really?
Friggin' Steve Wright.
I saw him live in Lubbock, Texas, y'all.
Oh, wow.
I never laughed so hard. I don't know if he was actually that funny or I was just living in the hick town so
Yeah.
long that everything was funny to me.
Yeah.
And then my last person would be Mark Vieira. He's a Puerto Rican comic out of New York. He's so funny.
like the kings of comedy or New York comedy, something like that. They got like a crew up there
Oh,
that he rolls
yeah.
with.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
He's so funny
Yeah,
to me. And
he's funny.
speaking of gracious people, he's like Godfrey. I don't know that he would help with an open mic. He probably would. But I remember he was at the Tampa Improv. I don't remember who were the hostess. It was either Mike Morris, which I haven't heard about him in a while.
He's been laying low, yeah.
Yeah. And I know it was Mike Morris, Rio was there, and I was just there watching the show. But after the show, he sat and talked to us for more than an hour about the business.
That's cool.
And, giving us warning. One of the things I remember the most was, if your material or your act isn't fire, like a lightning bolt hitting every so many seconds, don't do a special. Just don't do it. Don't do it. And then he started naming like situations of other comics where they weren't ready and the special flopped. And he was just really, and he talked about like the financial, like out of the streaming services, who really pays more for a comedy special. So
yeah, that's one of those things where a lot of people don't understand that those streaming platforms, and I mentioned it before on a previous podcast, that those streaming services are great, and they're great if you can get on them and so forth. But the reality is, as a performer, you're generally only getting paid once.
yeah,
That's it. It's a buyout. So
It
it's like
is.
you're not making residuals off of that. So even if a million people watch it, unless a percentage of those people are going to be buying merchandise from you or coming out to support you live, you've only gotten paid that one time. That's it. They've
I
already
see.
seen your show, so it's a buyout.
Yeah.
So that's where that whole thing with the unions started. The whole different. They've been changing rules with the union because people aren't getting compensated past that one time.
Yeah, because
which
when I
is a
did
big
Naked,
problem.
I think
Yeah.
it was like that before, and I couldn't get residuals.
Yeah, and that's because it's under the new media contract.
Yes.
So they have to change that, and that's where a lot of the things are. People are getting a lot of changes are happening.
Yeah.
Like with the whole thing with Scarlett Johansson.
Yes.
She changed a lot. She did an incredible thing because that really affected how contracts are going to be written now. Because
Yeah.
they can't, because what they're doing is like any other contract in any other business, you have to honor that contract or it's going to go to court or arbitration and you're going to be liable. But with the studios, they try to turn around and just reject the contract. No, this agreement is still valid regardless of COVID.
What we're gonna do, yeah.
Regardless of anything else, because this is talking about the theater release, and then our bonuses and our residual pay, and they were just trying to bypass that and say, yeah, you know what, we're just going to release it here, everything's fine. No, it's not.
It's not. Yeah.
So that's a big thing. So that was our camera.
Yep.
So
It's okay. Show's over now.
yeah. So well, let's move on. I made a quick list of 5 Thanksgiving movies for those people out there watching. So if they need something to watch for Thanksgiving.
I'm gonna take notes
Okay.
That's right.
because I need a good Thanksgiving movie.
So here's my my 5, and they're a mixed bag of movies. One is Cowboys and Aliens,
Cowboys and Aliens.
which is a big sci-fi film. You should go. It doesn't matter if you don't watch that one, watch another one that's a big sci-fi film. That's always good. A big movie like that.
Okay.
Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Yes.
If you're going to go out to the theaters, simply for the fact that it's a feel-good film and it's nostalgic and everybody's
Yes.
going to be able to watch that and relate to it. Also, Anchorman,
Oh,
because it's an over-the-top film.
love it.
And everybody needs an over-the-top film. Elf.
I love Elf.
We're going to stick with Will Ferrell
Yeah.
on that. Over the top, sentimental, and we're getting into the holidays.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna film Pat Largo's reactions to my film, and the final one. He's looking at it right now. He can see the list. I think he agrees. I hope he agrees.
I don't know.
National Lampoon's Vacation with Chevy Chase.
Never heard of it.
Oh wow!
Is that
Come
your
on.
favorite?
Bullshit.
Come on!
I'm tired of the white movies.
No.
I need something with flavor. Yeah, it's a great movie, of course. Well, think about it. See, I'm that kind of guy that doesn't. I mean, I like family, but most of mine are gone now, so it makes the holidays very easy. So it's true.
See,
It's true.
there's a comedian.
The
person
Grinch
that
that stole Christmas.
It's true. So I mean, like I'll hang out with people for like an hour or so to be sociable, but I'm the guy that like if I go to your house and you've got the dog and some kind of man cave and beer, you'll find me there watching any kind of sport on. I don't even know if it's squash. I don't give a damn. I'll watch it.
Squash.
I'll be playing with the dog, having a beer, and they'll be like, "Where's Pat? It's been 3 hours." You know where Pat is. He doesn't want to be a part of this.
That's true.
So I will take the movies over hanging out with people. Not that I'm antisocial. I'm just antisocial.
anti.
That's
He's
all.
anti-
Just one
social.
anti.
Just one. But no, you're right. That was a good list. So I love National Lampoons. You're right.
I do too.
Well, hey, let's send some people to some shows. There's
Let's-
only one way to do that, though.
Say it with me. Say where they at on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Where they at?
And that's where we tell you right here on Comedians Uncorked podcast where some of the hot acts are in Florida and around the country. We have here Jessica Curson at Side Splitters, the original one on Dale Mabry in Tampa. She her new 1-hour special, Talking to Myself, debuts on Comedy Central next month, December 6th, 2021, at the Tampa Improv, the 26th and 27th. That's tomorrow and Saturday. Comedian magician Eric Olson, and also then mentalist Michael C. Anthony for your post-holiday celebration there. Funny Bone. Let's go to Virginia Beach. Shall we? Let's do it. Jay Phillips.
I've been there.
Yes, I know. You bet you got some stories out there, right? I got some other friends with some stories out there. Jay Phillips at the Funny Bone in Virginia Beach, and then the Funny Bone in Toledo, Ohio. Shang from Def Comedy Jam. And then here's a couple of big ones. Bobcat Goldthwait this week at the Pittsburgh Improv. He's going to be
Awesome.
there Thanksgiving weekend.
Love him.
and Christopher Titus. Yes, because I think he's got the new wife or girlfriend. And he just got to plug. Yeah, he's got to plug along, man. He's going to be at Hilarities in Cleveland, and my man D.L. Hughley at Caroline's on Broadway tomorrow night, November 26th. That's good. Oh, 8 tickets left for that, by the way, in New York. So that's currently, so they might already be sold out.
Oh, wow.
And one quick plug. This is the biggest little shopping event in the country. I'm going to be hosting the entertainment stage for Shopapalooza at Vinoy Park in St. Pete. Over 300 vendors and crafts and makers and nonprofits. It's 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, the 27th and 28th at Vinoy Park. Lots of food, lots of entertainment. Get your holiday shopping done. It's one of my favorite times of the year because we didn't do it last year. And that is Where They At. Other than that, let's wrap it up, baby. Again, we want to say thank you to Aniria Turney for being with us. Real quick, where can people get a hold of you on social media?
You can go to Instagram at Aniria is Funny. My website is also AniriaIsFunny.com and Aniria Turney on Facebook. And I should be more active on Twitter, so look for me there, at Aniria Comedian.
I love it. Well, thank you. Have a great holiday, you and your family.
You too.
And thank
both
you so
of
much. Thank you so much for coming in. Again, thank you for the folks on Breaker. It's a new podcast platform for us, and also Spotify and all the other platforms. Look for us on YouTube as we post a few times a week. Click that subscribe button. And again, you can get us on Facebook and Instagram at Comedians Uncorked, and of course, comediansuncorked.com. And a huge thank you to Julie Drolshagen of Century 21. Give her a shout, 727-902-9233, FloridaBeachBusiness.com. For Tony God, my name is Pat Largo. Thank you for checking out episode 6 of the Comedians Uncorked podcast. And as always, laugh. You deserve it. Happy Thanksgiving. We'll see you next week.